Next up, we got a GDI mirror matchup. PaRappa56 playing as the gold GDI against jarda.malina playing as the blue GDI on heavy metal. And it looks like a top right versus bottom left spawn situation. PaRappa on the bottom left, Jarda on the top right. Both players moving somewhat towards the center. Jarda's moving very far forward. Very far forward. PaRappa's moved quite far right. Traditionally, players would tend to deploy like maybe here, and the top player could deploy like here-ish. You don't necessarily need to move this far. So it looks like Jarda's going to be pushing in with some racks play, possibly. PaRappa, meanwhile, has gone with the deploy. He's got a power plant. He's got a racks. Both players going to see each other.
Unit ready.
Nothing out of the
Building.
complete ordinary. Like, besides this being very far forward, that is a shocking ref placement, Jarda. I would expect better from Jarda at this point. But interesting, nonetheless. He's using it as part of his crawl, only for the Harvey AI to detect this tip being the nearest to the ref, so instead of going here, it's going up here. But yeah, Jarda's pushed in very early with the racks pressure. PaRappa's playing it cool, he's gone up to 3 ref. This is very worrying. This ref is pretty much dead. Unless some miracle happens. I don't know why Jarda isn't attacking this. He should be going over here and taking this out. But instead he's just kind of sitting idle. Okay, now he's got Grens moving in. He's trying to keep the line here with just static infantry. Okay, okay. So there's a bit of a standoff situation here. Seeing guard towers coming out from PaRappa. It's a little bit unusual. Jarda's going to take out the guard tower, no problem. Grens are usually pretty good at that. So he's on 2 ref, but they're very awkward positions. This one's okay if it's getting this field, the other one not so much. Oh, and we're seeing an AGT pop out from Jarda. Interesting, so we have the comm center back here. Very interesting. This is very scary for PaRappa at this point. He's got no war factory down. So there's not much that PaRappa can do with this. Like, he can't push infantry into it. And it's also covering this tip field, so he's taking full ownership of this. Bar maybe these 2 lines. And a second AGT going down. Damn! Jarda's investing heavily in this. Especially as he only has 2 ref. As you can see, it's reflected in his eco. He's pretty broke at this point. PaRappa looks like he got himself a comm center as well. So he might be trying to counter this with his own AGTs. Just a little bit peculiar. I'd probably try hold the line with Grens and like get your war factory back here to get tanks to counter this. I'm interested to see how this goes. He gets his defensive AGT here. Okay, okay. This is going to prevent Jarda from being able to attack into him with Grens from here or here because the AGT has a nice range. It'll cover a little bit from this side, not a huge amount. AGT doing some picking off damage to the Harv here. It looks like PaRappa's sneaking around the back.
Construction complete.
He's gonna get vision of the Conyard. And it looks like... Oh, PaRappa, you cheeky bastard. What is this? So for those not familiar, there's a... I don't know if you'd call it a bug, but there's a situation in Tiberian Dawn where turrets have +1 range shooting up. So PaRappa was able to exploit that here. Jarda couldn't attack back down. That's... oof. That couldn't have felt good to do. I don't know. But yeah, it was a nice attempt here from PaRappa as well at the same time, trying to snipe the Conyard. Got it down to what looked like orange health. But yeah, he's now got the 2 AGTs here. He has the better eco situation, although this Harv is just paused. Even though, well, actually Jarda's got his 3rd ref up now, so Jarda's in a better position economically speaking. AGT is going to provide some defensive support. Curious if PaRappa's going to go for a 3rd AGT here. Push it forward again. Let's see, he's selling the racks here. Yeah, he's going for the forward AGT. And once again, using that +1 range to just take pure advantage of Jarda here. That's definitely a way to do it, I guess. Man, Jarda must have been so tilted this match. He was definitely on top there at the start. For sure. I think if it wasn't for this +1 range stuff, then PaRappa would have been in a lot more trouble. This Harv is still just kind of sitting on his ass. Not great. Now, what's Jarda gonna do? That's the real question here. Gonna lose this ref. I mean, that might have done Jarda a favor, to be honest, because now the Harv's gonna redirect to these refs. Looks like Jarda's gonna hold out here with 2 Raxes. PaRappa gonna push on through to get some of the power, slows production. Nice. Meanwhile, back here we can see he's still sitting on 3 ref. This Harv is still idle. See 4 Harvs here. It looks like Jarda was able to hold off that attack. Lost some power, so we'll be able to rebuild that. PaRappa now opting to go along the sides. Would like to see Jarda maybe try to push in here towards the right. There's not a lot of defensive structures in place here, so this ref anyway should be up for the taking. Possibly go for a Harv as well. But we're seeing PaRappa doing it to him first. So he's going on the offense on the side. He's doing this nice concave. He's going to have these Grens deal with the units as they come in, and these ones focus on the structure. Jarda responding with a Rax up top. Jarda's going to want to try and defend this. We are seeing him with a counterattack getting ready though on the bottom right, which PaRappa does have scouted. But he's busy pushing down the middle. He's going to get at least one of these Raxes. They're very strong structures for such low cost. But this is definitely keeping PaRappa preoccupied. And it looks like he started using his idle Harv here to try and squish these guys. So if nothing else, this guy is going to be back in action. Managed to get one structure here. These Grens are going to kill it before I can take out the Conyard here though, unfortunately. Is at risk of losing this Rax if he doesn't push into it. And down it goes. Oh, Jarda. The kill count now is swinging favorably towards PaRappa. He's about 20 kills ahead on 2 ref. What's Jarda? Jarda's on 2 ref at the moment. He's got the 1 Rax. 2 Rax now. He rebuilt this one. Whereas PaRappa's sitting on 2 ref. This guy's just gone dead idle again. He's on 2 ref. Has the AGTs, of course. Tried to send a little scout force over towards the left, but didn't pay off. Looks like Jarda's hoping to get more units down here and do a push in this side. We're seeing Jarda's opting to re-establish his eco, which is actually a smart play. I'm surprised PaRappa hasn't tried to do something similar. So we see he's up to 3 ref now. He's repaired this one as well, so it's in good health. Couple of loose Grens here. Both players are kind of playing idly at the moment, just sitting in each other's bases, determining their next move. Curious what Jarda goes for. He's now on 4 ref. And because of his actual early positioning where he was taking the tip from here and here, he now actually can take full advantage of here and here. So this has actually worked out in his favor. Those awkward initial ref placements. At least at this point in the game. He's now on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Harvs versus 1, 2, 3. And PaRappa's just sold to push and all in. Interesting timing. He must have spotted that Jarda's on quite high eco at the moment. And the longer the game goes on at this point, the more ahead Jarda's going to become. So he needs to push in and try to make something happen here. But let's see how it goes. So he's just going to be going mass infantry. Don't forget, Jarda still has comm center tech, so he could technically build the AGT for defensive purposes, especially against mass infantry. PaRappa having an engineer here. Oh, he's being a good gentleman and going for the power plant. I suspect he could have taken the Conyard here if he wanted to. But that's going to be a sell for Jarda, who can now afford to mass produce loads of Grens, even more so than PaRappa. So long as Jarda micros correctly here, he has an opportunity to still win. Although it is going to be difficult with these AGTs still in place from PaRappa. Needs to watch the left hand side of his base. Wants to primary this Rax, I'd say. Keep these here and just get a couple of extra Grens up. But you can now push it. Well, this is where it gets kind of awkward, right? Because Jarda can't really push into the AGTs here. Best he can do is go on the side here and try to take out the refs or focus on the Harbs. It's a real shame that Jarda's got no AGTs left. I think that's potentially going to be what costs him the game. Because at this point, PaRappa can just kind of do a line of Grens here and line of Grens here, and if Jarda tries to attack him from any of the sides, once he gets to like this main central point, the AGT is just going to absolutely wreck. Could opt to try go down here and take out the power plant from behind. But we're seeing Jarda pushing in here while PaRappa's on this side. This isn't a bad idea, going for the Harves, something similar here. Interesting exchange of Grens. I would favor PaRappa's micro, having played both of these players before. I would say that PaRappa just has the better macro, or the micro and experience. But Jarda's playing. Jarda played this really well at the start. I think he had some questionable refs, just in terms of his eco. And I also think that if PaRappa wasn't able to exploit the +1 turret range, then it would have been a very different game. I think Jarda could have also, if he spotted the Conneard cell here, he might have wanted to sell his a bit earlier. It looked like he didn't get the eco from the cell himself, which is a big loss. But considering he didn't necessarily get it, he's holding it really well. And he has such a higher eco as well, so he's been on top of a lot of fronts, just not the ones that unfortunately result in putting him in a winning position. Because like regardless of what happens now, like he has to work around these AGTs, and I just don't know how he's going to do it. He could try push in a couple of Harves and get the AGTs to force fire onto the Harvesters, and the Grens flood in. We're seeing Jarda having to hold it on 3 fronts here. He's still on 3 ref versus 3 here. But Jarda's got a lot of Grens in the field still. Like he might be able to make something happen, but I don't know. Needs to watch his Harvester over here. Not even sure why this is harvesting here. You should do similar to what PaRappa's done. Looks like he microed his Harvesters to take the bottom right field. Jarda should have done the same to take the top right. PaRappa's also got a few Grens around here from the back, which could easily get that ref. But he's busy trying to hold off this attack. We also see the Harv over here getting sniped by PaRappa. Very nice. Looks like Jarda's... I think Jarda's getting a little impatient here and just sending all of his units at once without separating them and taking time to micro it. And with that, PaRappa's now over 50 kills ahead. It's pretty rough for poor Jarda. I think he's played... That's probably one of the better games I've seen Jarda play lately, to be honest. I think he did really well. He just really got screwed over by that +1 turret range stuff. And I also think that initial ref placement there, even though it was part of a forward crawl, was a bit sketchy for his economy. PaRappa did well to counterattack the AGT rush with his own AGTs. I don't know if he knew ahead of time if he was going to take advantage of that +1 range or what his strategy was. I think most GDI players, when they come up against an opponent who goes AGT, their thinking is to try and get a war factory out as soon as possible and get the medium tanks to deal with the AGTs, and then just use your Grens / medium tanks as their own little ball to come in and do as much damage as possible. An interesting game. Interesting game. We're going to see here if PaRappa's going to clean up, right? It's down to 2 ref, 2 racks. And again, the biggest problem for Jarda is, like, even if he can take out all of this, once he hits this central point, it's going to be real difficult. To lose the racks here, he's just down to the ref. Oof. I feel pain for Jarda in this match, to be honest, but it was well played from both players. I think PaRappa did well to counterattack the AGTs with his own. It's a little unusual, don't tend to see that. As I said earlier, you expect them to go War Factory tanks, but it was a yeah, interesting match. Well done both players, and I would say chin up Jarda, you played that pretty well. You just got a little bit screwed by some of the game mechanics. But yeah, GG's.
Battle control terminated.